Good morning. Today I'm going to be making pork with green chilies. It's kind of a gravy-based dish that's really savory and something that I've been making for years and years. When the kids were all young, we always raised several pigs every year to put in the freezer. You can also make it with chicken. I've done that before and it turns out pretty good. But my favorite is with the pork. Anyway, let's get going on this. Okay, so what we have for our pork with green chilies is the pork that's cubed up. Now these were boneless pork chops, but you can use pork steak, pork roast, anything. Just cube it up into the sizes that you like, which are pretty much just bite size like that. So that's a nice size. And you start out by melting some fat in your frying pan. And this happens to be some duck fat that was left over from a roast duck. You can use butter, you can use shortening, you can use lard. Drippings from a roast chicken is good too. So anyway, you just need to get your fat going, and this is just a little bit more than 1/4 cup of fat that's melting here. So to this, I'm going to add the pork and start frying it off. And when you're making this, basically, it's a really simple, savory dish that we like a lot. We serve it with tortillas, warmed up, softened tortillas. You can use corn or flour, but you could also serve it over rice or even on top of a salad would be fine. Or you could even just eat it by itself in a bowl with a spoon. But we like to use it with tortillas. So you saute the pork up until it's partly done. You want to just get a little bit of color on it so that you're putting some fond on the bottom of the pan, which always adds flavor to any dish. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt to this. And you can use any kind of salt. Right now I've got this pink salt from the Temecula Olive Oil Company, and it's Murray's River pink salt. Anyway, so I'm going to put about a teaspoon on, and later we'll taste it to see if it needs more salt. Now in this recipe you use pork, garlic, green chilies, flour, salt, pepper, and any other kind of seasonings you'd like to add to it, but you'll want to taste and make sure that you're going for the right flavor profiles when you're cooking this dish. We sometimes add our own homegrown chilies, the red chilies from the shishito peppers, and we let them ripen up completely on the vine, and then we dry them and grind them up. And they're a sweet pepper for the most part. Every once in a while you'll get a hot one, but the shishitos make a really nice dry pepper. So you can see that this is beginning to change color, and there's a lot of nice juice developing. I'm going to add the garlic, and there's a 1/2 cup of garlic here to about approximately 2 pounds of diced pork. It seems like a lot of garlic, but it's really not for this dish. It's perfect. And of course, we do like garlic here in this household. It's one of those things that is one of our favorite things. So we're going to let this cook for a couple minutes. Okay, I'm going to start adding the flour, 1/4 cup at a time, and I think this will probably take just about 1/2 cup of flour. We just sprinkle it over the top of the meat with the juices accumulated in the bottom. And you let the flour absorb into the juices that have accumulated in the pan, and just stir it around until all of the pieces are covered. Okay, and I'm going to add some pepper, a good dose of pepper. We like pepper too. Pepper is good. As you can see, this is what it looks like now. There's some fond on the bottom of the pan, and it's getting well incorporated and toasted off. Okay, now we're going to add the green chilies, and this is 1 1/4 cups of green chilies, diced green chilies. You know, they would be Anaheim's or Hatch chilies. I think Hatch chilies are basically the same thing as an Anaheim. It's just grown in a different area. Or maybe it was raised by someone named Hatch, for all I know. Anyway, they're basically the same chili. And now we're going to add water. So with this, when you add the water to it, basically what you do is you just cover the pork completely with the water. And you can add a little bit more if you want more gravy to it. This is one of those things that you kind of have to just make judgments as you go along with the recipe. You can just add the water all at one time. And then stir gently so you don't splash over the side and make your stove dirty. You just want to be careful with stirring. This is actually a really quick recipe to do because it doesn't take long to cook. You want to be sure and scrape the bottom of the pan to make sure you get all the flour and the fond off of the bottom. The pork cooks up really pretty quickly, and basically what you're just doing is cooking it until the gravy is the right consistency. This would also be really good over polenta. Probably the little fried polentas, little polenta patties that are fried up and crispy would be really, really great with this. I'm going to check this for seasoning now. Definitely needs more salt and pepper. So I'm going to add an extra ½ teaspoon of salt to this. So I'm going to let this cook for probably another 5 to 7 minutes and just let it gently bubble and stir the bottom of the pan. Make sure you keep the bottom clear so it's not sticking to the bottom. The drippings from a roast chicken make this really good. That might be probably my favorite fat to use for making this dish. That's the perfect level of salt. So there's 1.5 teaspoons of salt in there, but it is kind of a coarse salt. So if you're using a regular table salt, that's fine. You'll want to use less salt. Okay, I'm going to heat up a few tortillas here. With these corn tortillas, I usually just heat them up over a flame. Give them a few turns, get them a little bit charred a little bit. And then I'm going to just top these off with a little bit of sweet red chilies. Looks good. Now these are not hot, these are a sweet dried chili. If you like spice, you can add crushed red chilies that are spicy. Those would be good too. Tortillas on the side. And there you go. There's your dish of green chili with pork. Anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.